Hi. You know who I am. I have had that wonderful radio show. Sense my sarcasm. But Healing Life from Within is here. We do have Chameice. This is not a radio show. This is just going to be a discussion. However, that's my next step in my journey. So Chameice, Reiki healer, amazing holistic healer, and great kindred spirit. So how you doing?
Great.
Awesome. What's been going on? Have you done anything different as of the last couple of months?
I have. I went to Africa for a few months and did my tours with Soulful Travel Adventure and rocking it out.
Soulful Travel Adventures.
They're transformational tours.
Ooh.
So
can we go in slow-mo? I love
sacred sites around the world, like Africa, it's the Sahara. And we have soulful sharing transformation sessions at the end of the tour day where we really anchor in our experience for the day, and we share about our transformational journey, what we want to shift in our lives, what we want to create more of. And it's about a 2-week journey of just transferring yourself from fear into
14 days of amazing journeyment.
It is.
I could only imagine. I mean, hey, listen, the farthest I've ever gotten from the desert was in Georgia. So, I mean, to go all the way to Africa would be amazing.
It's amazing.
Okay, so we did come up with some kind of a little partial subject here for this little discussion. We were speaking upon, which I had no idea, I haven't kept track, which apparently we're in a new moon process here.
Yep. The Gemini new moon, which Gemini new moon is known for accelerated manifestation and really anchoring in those big dreams, like going as big as possible. You're fully supported. Anything you think about manifests just with ease and grace. So keep it positive, focus on what you want. And we have the Grand Cardinal Cross, which just peaked yesterday, which is like a pyramid in the sky of like Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus.
Yeah, that's right. I did see something in the sky. Yeah, and it was weird because I swear, I'll tell you, wherever I'm located, I don't know if you experience this, but I do a whole lot. I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes, but for some reason, when I look up in the sky, I'm usually seeing something that looks like Orion all the time. Okay, yeah. And I see like the belt, but this was different because at night, I didn't necessarily see that, but I saw one that looked like kind of blue purplish, and then another one that was like red-ish, and then obviously something that either looked like the North Star or just another planet. So, and it was a perfect, I'm telling you, perfect equilateral triangle at that point, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
so
that's the cross.
Yeah, is that what you're talking about? Okay, so again,
it's the planets are forming the pyramid in the sky.
It's like an all-seeing eye kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
Accelerating, all of our abundance, the dreams. So it's just a very auspicious time to rock it out.
So when you're saying, like, we're talking manifesting, I'm just going to shut my fan off for a little bit. I don't know if you guys are hearing it out there, but if you are, I'm just going to cut that off for a minute because Chameice said I had kind of a lot of background noise with it. So, and manifesting an abundancy, I call it abundancy. I know it's not a word, but abundancy is very challenging for people. And this is what, I made some videos on YouTube about it, like the 5 secrets of manifesting an abundance, that kind of hit on key parts of what people are having trouble with. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that too. And the one thing that really hit home for me was the conversation we had the other day about abundance and manifesting, and the energy. Specifically when it comes to business, I don't know if anybody who is going to watch this, they may have a business or something. We can put that in the keywording or whatever. But when it comes to clients and being careful not to block yourself from creating income or revenue.
Yeah,
And that's
huge.
Yeah, and a lot of the times people out in, especially in our professions, meaning the psychic professions, the healing and holistic professions, when people are starting out, they usually have some kind of challenge. Majority of the time, it may be something like this that we're speaking of. My biggest challenge, and still to this day, it really is, and I need to admit this. I'm going to I'm sorry. I'm going to open my closet, okay, and I'm going to sweep all those skeletons out, all right, just to show it to you. I'm going to just open my world to you. My biggest thing is when people, when you always think that you need to follow up with somebody, or give them like constant reminders. Because you're always assuming that people are extremely busy all the time, and again, it's the energy that you put out there. It's almost like what do they call that? There's a word for it. Did a video on it actually. A scarcity consciousness. Okay.
And consciousness come from? What's the essential vibration behind scarcity consciousness?
Well, ultimately, it comes from a feeling of survival mode. It's almost as if you like desperation.
But why? What is the opposite? What are you trying to get from, that cycle? What's your idea that you create?
Well, throughout the years, again, I've had a 14, 15-year direct sales and marketing background. A lot of people, that if they know direct sales and marketing, it's like that freaking hard sell. It's always sell, sell, sell. Three no's, you quit. You stop trying to sell it to somebody. Things like that. And I've just noticed that as of lately, letting go of that idealism, because it's just like a pre-programmed thing that after a bunch of years you tend to just keep it in your system there, your programming, that at times you just got to let this stuff go. And
well, I think essentially the basic focus and feeling that you should concentrate on when scarcity and survival come up is scarcity and survival is the opposite of trust. So if you're in a trusting space and you know that everything you want is going to be delivered, then you don't have to chase it. You don't.
So what you're saying is it's like a unconditional eternal faith that that
you have the power to attract exactly what you need at every moment. And when you trust yourself and trust in your abilities, there is no scarcity, there is no survival, there is no desperation. You're not infusing all of your creations with that, because trust, I'm going to create this and it's going to come. Done. I can let it go. I can.
And then just let it go and
back to me.
Just let the world, let the universe just create it within divine time.
Yeah, you trust that you are in co-creation with the universe and everything is exactly how it's supposed to be, and you will be provided. And once you get in that space, everything flows. You don't chase it.
And what's interesting about all that is that there's now this. I bet you everybody in the known planet, has something like this happen to them, where you have the faith, you let it go, and just you begin. And I guess it's a scarcity consciousness as well. It's part of it where what's the best way to put it? We end up we have a fear that because it hasn't happened yet within a certain period of time, it could be 2 weeks, couple of months, things like that. we begin to fear that it may not ever come to us because it's not coming quickly enough.
How long does it take to build a dream? I mean, if
Seconds. I mean,
have
when you think about it, I mean, in here.
of what you want, like me, for example, let's take my tour company, for example.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I want to build a tour
I'll turn this damn fan back on.
where I travel the world and bring people in that want travel and transformation and all of these things. Of course it's going to take time for me and the universe to co-create this perfect flow that is the perfect manifestation of everything I need and that embodies my organic flow naturally.
Now,
like that.
Now, we talked about something very, very specific that a lot of people may want to know about.
Okay.
And a lot of people, a lot of these gurus, a lot of these inspirational people, that actually talk about these things, always talk about one specific word. And maybe we need to kind of, go a little bit into what this means. Okay. And we're going to talk about momentum. Okay. So let's just a hypothetical scenario. Let's put it out there. Let's just say you're a gifted individual. You're an intuitive counselor or, a tarot reader or something. A lot of the times I talk to a lot of these people. And the one major thing is, first of all, how to start. That's a whole coaching process, which we're not going to talk about. But when it comes to the momentum, they always say, well, how do I start beginning momentum? Now, how would you necessarily start building this amazing kind of movement, this flood of energy? How would you begin doing something like this?
How would I?
Yeah, I mean, well, if somebody was to ask for your opinion or your professional opinion on how to explain momentum and how to start momentum, how would you explain it to somebody?
I would explain momentum, personal momentum, with one word: passion. If you're passionate about what you do and you're enthusiastic about it, that drives you, that keeps you going. You're always in the zone because you're always channeling and centered in your message and what you want. And when you speak about it passionately, because it's so natural and you're so authentically enthusiastic about it, you can't help but build momentum. You never want to stop because that's what you want. You're so driven by, I gotta have that pretty much nothing will stop you, because you have to have that. You feel like, if I don't have that, my life is never going to be complete. So why would you stop?
So let's begin, since we're talking about momentum and manifesting and building your dream, let's say, which is truly a fantastic idea. And a lot of people, I mean, they think of the white picket fence scenario, a better job, maybe even a more consistent or a more profound environment for themselves, their loved ones and their families, things like that, or even the world. It's all kind of in combination. But to begin, I always talk about this. I always say you always have to begin from within.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I have little catchphrases now that I use. So begin from within. You always need to be not need. Okay, you always have to have I'm trying to change that word too, and we're going to talk about why. You have to have a mindset that's positive. Now, even being a light worker or whatever, counselor, things like that, not everything is freaking sunshines and rainbows. It's not. We have challenges too, all the time. And I'll even say, listen, we are not above anyone. I'm not going to say that we're superior. I'm not going to say that we're inferior. I mean, we may understand a little bit more conceptual understanding when it comes to vibrational frequencies and and all these different energetic ideas, and understandings and practices. But we probably have more so of more of the amounts of challenges in our lives because of one very simple concept. And that's we are supposed to, people like you and I and many of the other ones that are like us, are in it to follow by, lead by example, not follow. Okay. So we ultimately put ourselves in a space of leadership.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, it's not, what's that?
It's our natural ability. It's our sole purpose, our space.
Right. And ultimately it could feel very uncomfortable at first. It can. And it would be quite scary to be a leader.
Yeah.
And have people come to you, and sometimes you don't have the answer. Sometimes I don't have the answer. But if I don't have the answer, I'm sure if Spire going to research.
Yeah.
I'm sure as hell going to find it for you. Okay, if I don't have it. Now, with that being said, manifestation. I've been in this practice. I had a beautiful individual. Okay, amazing guy. Okay, I call him king of the EFT process. All right, EFT. Honestly, I totally forget what it even means or what the acronym is. What happened to you? Why'd you just mute yourself? And then all of a sudden your video just went. Well, okay.
Frequency tapping or something?
Yes. Energy frequency tapping or something of the sort. Now what I was told, I'm a Scorpio. I am very, very skeptical when it comes to new stuff. I don't like change. Okay, I know change is inevitable, but I totally dislike change. However, this individual, brilliant man. Okay, he's got PhDs and master's degrees and all kinds of different things. I used to suffer from very severe PTSD. Okay, I'm not saying that I was in war times, but still PTSD nonetheless. All right, through havoc and tragedies, turmoil, and whatever transmutations. My experience with PTSD was that I would. Now, I haven't had it recently over the last couple of years, but at times when the stress gets so extreme, I can fall into an epileptic seizure, like a stress-induced seizure. Pow, right to the ground, shaking just like it, sweating, not being able to talk, barely being able to see, all that stuff. It's scary. It can be scary. You swear you're dying. But this individual told me, and I'm just going to share this briefly, but it was 10 specific naders, contact points, acupressure points, I guess, that you're supposed to use. And people who have like sales jobs or marketing jobs, that they solely live off of commission, or like our profession, it's mainly commission, basically. In a sense, or fee-based services. Most of the time, people like us have a little bit of a worry. It's a worry, which we're going to talk about worry in a minute too. We have a worry that at times we may not get it. We may not get paid, and it's a very big stress for a lot of people within the commission side or the fee-based service industry. And this individual showed me this, and I'm going to show you guys on video because now you can see me, so that I can't really explain it. I'd have to show it. And it's just 10, I call them cardinal points of manifesting. Okay, a very simple process. If you are a business owner or just starting and you got a couple of clients, and let's just say your first 10, okay, I'm just going by how this individual showed me. And it was for free, so I figured share it. Um, First point was top of the head. Okay, don't try to crush your skull, but just briefly tap, little light taps. Here. So I'm just going to show you the points of where they are. So top of the head, underneath, right at the corner of the eye. Okay, right at the nostril area of the cheekbone, right there. Little there's a word for it. The little indent that you have on top, over top of your mouth, right here. Okay, right here at the chin, right here in between your collarbones. Okay, kind of like in that little indent where they put the the trachea tube, right there. And then you got right underneath. I didn't even know there was a place. Okay, I know boxers and martial artists probably know this. There's a place underneath your arm, about 5 inches from your armpit. That's a very sensitive area. You touch it and it hurts a little bit. It's a little uncomfortable. And then you tap that area too. It's right in between. And then you got the karate chop, as they call it, the karate chop. Right in between the meaty part. Yeah, you got that right there in the middle. But then there was another place, and this is specified, I guess, for people that suffer a lot from mental disorders. And it's right here on the chest where, well, I'm not going to take my shirt off and show you, but it's right at the edge of the chest muscle, right where the shoulder meets, the chest, right in that little area right there. And it's very, very, you press hard enough, trust me, which it doesn't take that much pressure. And it's very sensitive, really, really sensitive. It's a very sensitive pressure point. So he said it's as simple as saying thank you. And I said, no way. Come on, really? As simple as saying thank you. He said, no. Not just thank you, but before you begin, get into the mindset of how it felt to get paid. Like how comfortable it felt, how relaxing it felt, how amazing you felt as a seller, or a servicer, to actually get someone to purchase your services. I said, I never really thought about that, because I mean, it's just you get paid for a service. That's really all it is for most people. But for us, it's a little more. So I got into the mindset. He goes, "Do you feel it? Do you got it?" I'm like, and it felt amazing. I mean, he was like, "No, really get into it. Like, get your essence into it. Like, really, like, close your eyes and feel it, and just see how happy you feel and on all this." And then what you said, anchor. I love how you guys use that word, anchor. Anchor in that emotion and hold on to it. And then start doing, thank you. Thank you. Or sorry, there was another one. I'm sorry. It was here and then here, right in between the eyebrow. I forgot about that one. Between the eyebrow, here, thank you. 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 A very, very simple tapping process. But he said the one thing about the EFT that's different from all the other stuff is that it has to be done consistently. There needs to be a consistency. Now, does that go for all the other ones? I'm asking you because you know a lot about this thing. So does the consistency of the mindset and the practice of the manifesting need to be a consistency in order for it to work correctly?
Well, yeah, that goes back to what we were saying about momentum.
Okay.
It, like anything else, when you start rolling something, it's slow in the beginning until you gain that momentum. And so if you stop after a few rolls, you're going to have to push just as hard as you did in the very beginning to get your speed going back up again. So consistency is what keeps that going all the time. Because if you stop, what happens? You have to start all over again from the very beginning to build that momentum.
So let's wrap our heads around that. So, aside from the EFT, let's say, aside from the tapping, we spoke about the meditational part of it because there's a lot of people within our holistic industry, a lot of psychic, professions and things like that. A lot of us meditate a lot. Is there any suggestions that you would give any individual that want to manifest specifically during this time and want to like manifest their dreams? What would you recommend meditatively? What would you suggest as a practice? Like how long? What do they think about? What do they harness in? Like what would you do?
I honestly, I don't do that at all. I
Okay,
wouldn't
so
recommend anything straight across the board for anybody because, as you stated before, the absolute key point of manifesting is that feeling, because feelings are vibrations, and vibrations are your language with the universe, period. You can say whatever you want and it's going to get out there, but the thing is, most of us say I want this, and then 2 seconds later we say I don't want that, I want this.
ah,
So it gets so mucked up. We're constantly thinking, we're constantly saying, we're constantly counterbalancing all of that. But where you're at vibrationally, that does not shift as fast. Those are deeply, deeply ingrained into you, that those conditioning, lacks, beliefs, all of those things are deep in us from, generations, from cultures, from, past lives. I mean, there can be 1,000 things that we have this core tube that is our essential vibration. And that goes back to what you were saying about tapping, but I have kind of a different take on tapping
with
because usually when you do the tapping, you're supposed to start out with what you want to release.
okay, okay. Well, I'm saying that this specific individual. This is just to clarify. Okay, this specific individual gave me a very simplistic, a
Yes,
very
I
basic.
just wanted to go a little
Yeah,
deeper because I think your question isn't a surface question. It
right.
needs to be understood on a few levels. So,
Okay.
key to manifesting is having that exact feeling, being super clear, precise, exact on what you want. It's not enough to tell the universe, I want a client. Because guess what? You could get 1,000 clients and none of them want to pay you.
Uh,
They just want it for free.
Hang on. Now, before you continue with that, I want to make it a point for everybody to know just what she said may, in fact, even cause you more chaos.
It does cause you more chaos.
Because when you keep saying I want, I need, I want, I need, you are sending that vibration out to the universe that you are going to still need and want, and that's all you're going to get.
Because it's in the future. And
Thank you.
that's why it's super important to be super clear with the universe and say, keep it in the present and say exactly what you want. I am so thankful for having 20 paying clients that signed up for my class on April 27th. You
Or
have
like for an example, what you're saying, what you're saying, I absolutely agree. Like, I'm so grateful and honored to be able to have 50 people pay and register for the June 12th webinar.
exactly.
Okay.
You have to keep it in the present so it
Right.
happens now and not in the future. I want, I need means you don't have it. And the vibration is I have it. So guess what? The universe says you don't have it because it's responding to exactly what you're saying.
And the craziest shit about that is that when the universe sends it back to you, you still ain't got it.
But that's where people get off track. I think that's something most, people who talk about manifestation and all of that, any of that, they don't talk about, like we were talking about earlier, the importance of knowing yourself. You have to go within. You have to figure out what's holding you back, what's screwing you up. What you have to check your self-worth. You have to check your trust. You have to check your self-love and get clear, get balanced, get honest, get on track. And then after you do all that, then you can clearly manifest. But if those systems are not in check, you're going to end up manifesting a shitstorm of shit you don't
Yeah,
want.
there's going to be some sort of annihilating hurricane of this chaos factor.
Yes.
And it's interesting because and you and I talk about this a whole lot, about this chaos factor, because at times Scorpios specifically, and it's not just the zodiac sign, I guess it's because of our characteristic traits, because of how addictive our personalities are at times, things like that, and how self criticizing and self sabotaging at times we can be, to ourselves, because certain things aren't happening the way that we want them to, or in the time frame that we would like it to be. Just like what happened a few while I was going to say a few whiles ago, but yes, that would make sense. Where all of a sudden, when I was, and we're going to talk about worth too, because it has a lot. What just happened? Oh, for some reason your camera went off and on. I actually experienced something that was incredible. And I'm saying incredible. It was kind of a negative thing, but it was incredible to learn, as a lesson and an educational process, that every time, and just what we're talking about, every time I said, "Oh, I really need this. I need to pay a bill," or what was it? I want, and this was huge when we first came down here 3 years ago. We always wanted a bigger place. We always, wanted this or wanted that. And we noticed that wherever we were became worse as we started saying it. So instead, I had her to stop saying that, because we were enabling each other to say it. And honestly, I said, I have to have this. And because have or have to is a must. It's a creation of a very powerful energy. But I also learned that a lot of people get angry when they don't get what they want, or they don't get it within a specific time frame. So with that being said, anger in its purest form is a powerhouse energy. It really is, because it can change everything. And if we're able to harness that kind of energy, and instead of using it to harm somebody verbally, calling them names or causing violence upon someone or creating havoc in someone else's life, including our own, we can actually use that powerful energy at that specific moment that we become furious, okay, or fed up. We can actually, again, cause the momentum by using that energy. And we can push out that energy, not to do harm, not to do anything negative, but to use it as the fuel to positivity. Just like how some people actually talk about angry meditation. Okay, about I don't know where that even came from, but truthfully, letting out all that, all that negative energy, cursing while you're meditating and stuff like that, which was weird to me, honestly, but it kind of makes sense in a really weird, twisted way. It makes sense, because what you're doing is you're using that energy that you have in order to project and manifest, but you're transferring or changing the energy from angry energy to just energy. There's no emotion involved anymore.
That's why emotions are, again, it's the frequency and vibration. That is the universe's language. And I
Right.
don't think or any specific emotion is a bigger catalyst than another. But
Okay.
I think the point that what you're talking about, when most people hold anger, in their field, they keep it in their field, and it keeps causing chaos and dysfunction because it's not being channeled properly. And when
Right.
you channel it properly, it's not chewing at you. It's not, your mind's not, you know, playing with it and mulling it over and over again and getting in the way of what you're trying to create. Because if you're sitting here saying, I want a happy and loving relationship, but over here your brain is saying, God, I hate my spouse. They're just constantly screwing up my flow. That is they cancel each other out. Which frequency are you going with here? But if you get your anger and frustration out about the unhealthy environment that you're in that moment, get it all out, get clear about exactly what you want, and you're focused on that and that alone, because everything else is off the table, you dealt with it, then you are a powerful manifester because you're clear. And that's the problem with holding dysfunctional energies in and not expressing your anger, is it mucks your message. You can't be clear.
And
And
especially when it's and I'm gonna kind of like bypass or kind of like fork off from anger. But the beginning, at times, a lot of the times, anger is created by three different kinds of emotions, and I've talked to plenty of people about this, which is fear, doubt, and frustration.
yeah,
So, with that being said, at times, I've even done this. I've actually taken myself completely and utterly have disconnected myself from the situation and brought myself into a form of relaxation, meditation, detox bathing, or even just change, like getting myself away mentally, getting myself away from those thoughts in general, not necessarily just, releasing them per se, but getting away from them in order to release them, and saying, you know what, and this is a big thing too, that at times, even, when I falter and I say, and I get frustrated or angry about something, I'm always like, you know what? Thank you, universe, for teaching me this lesson. I understand that I'm frustrated. I understand that I'm angry, but I'm still okay. And that being that vibration of saying that you're okay is allowing that emotion and that energy to pass through you instead of holding it in, as you're saying,
yeah,
and allowing the universe to do with it whatever it needs to do with it. That kind of, and just the energy itself. Because all of our emotions, can you agree with me by saying most of our emotions are energy? It is what it is,
well,
right?
our emotions are energy, but
Right.
our emotions, as humans, we go throughout our day doing stuff, and we're not, if you're not present and you're not checking in with yourself and paying attention to what's going on with your body, because especially Americans, we love the overstimuli, we love technology, and then we bounce to work, and then we got to do the kids this. We like to be going 1,000 miles an hour. That doesn't leave us space to check in. So
Now,
most of us,
what do you mean? Can you explain to people who are listening in and who are viewing here, checking in? What do you mean by checking in?
just taking like I mean, it doesn't have, that's why I'm not really a big fan of everybody meditating, because for
Okay.
most people, when they're overstimulated, they cannot sit and quiet their mind. So it's going for a walk, something that's peaceful, that's quiet, there's no distraction, where you have to Pay attention to what's going on in your head. Pay attention to what's going on in your heart. I guarantee when you're taking a shower and you're not rushed, taking a bath when you're not rushed, taking a walk when you're not rushed, anything that you can do that's soothing and relaxing is not rushed, that's when those thoughts creep up. That's when you can check in with yourself and see where you're really at emotionally, because whatever comes up for you is what needs dealt with.
Hmm.
And I think that's where people get off, because your emotions are energy. But why do we get angry? Why do we get sad? Why do we get all of that? Because our bodies are saying, somebody crossed my boundary. This
Yep.
is not okay. And so that feeling arises in you as your body's natural response to say, this is not okay. Your brain is saying, not a big deal, but your body is saying, not okay.
Because it actually makes you. I mean, now since you open it up like that, it actually makes you feel uncomfortable.
And
Truthfully,
it's supposed to.
yeah.
Body is trying to get your attention to say, this is not helping your self-worth. This is not a trusting space. That creates a divide of trust between your brain and your heart. Your brain keeps making excuses for people who treat you badly, your heart starts to shut down, because it says, okay, brain, you're not going to protect me, so I'm going to protect myself, and it shuts down. That's why people can't love. That's why people become assholes, because their heart shuts down, because they don't trust themselves to take care of themselves.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Because I mean, I would never just saying, I mean, looking at it from my personal perspective, because I lived a life, and I'm just going to put the dirty laundry out there. Okay,
Yeah.
I lived a life at one point that, and I still do somewhat still to this day, and I'm very very apologetic for saying this, but my trust is one thing that is very difficult to win when it comes to people, and not necessarily because they've done something to me, but it's because of, again, which we've talked about, blockages and past life, karmic, issues and things like that. In my past, because I'm acknowledging this now, while we're here, that because of the abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the treating, like, the not saying all the time, but my father more so than most, hardcore guy. He was treated like crap too when he was a kid. So it kind of like, went down, the ladder there. Um, you know, Knowing that that isn't okay, to not, it's kind of like a double negative, but which I really don't like to do, but I'm going to do it now, which is not to not like people, okay? Because within our profession, I mean, it's not that we have to. It's just part of our. It's just part of our matrix. It's part of our DNA to care about people, to trust people. Excuse me, and as I progressed, as I got older, so luckily, I'm saying luckily, I didn't turn into the same two people. We're talking generations of, treating people the same way over and over again. I stopped that cycle. So we always, and this is something that I share with a lot of people, we always have to reflect, not dwell, but reflect on what we've done or what we've experienced in our current past, meaning this life cycle, our current past, meaning from childhood till now. We need to reflect and admit that certain things went on, that maybe we didn't really like, but we had really no choice, because when you're a kid, sometimes we don't. But ultimately, I remember, and I'm going to share this. Maybe we'll go past 5:30, possibly. because I want to share this with everybody. That when I was a kid, and if I get emotional, I do apologize about this because it's a very sensitive subject for me. Again, because you said it, hundreds.
Important.
Hmm?
Emotions are important. Go forward.
Well, what I'm saying is that, and this is something I'm working on and I'm trying to release and let go of, is
Yeah.
this is the seriousness of how I live life at this point. And when I was a kid, I was very fluid. I was always spontaneous. I was, one of my friends would say, would be just sitting down doing nothing, say, hey, you know what? Let's go to the mall. Let's just go check out. Let's go, see people or whatever. All right, fine. Let's go. Let's go be social butterflies. Yada yada. Not like that now, but I'm saying at that time, I loved everybody. I enjoyed everybody's company, everybody's energy, no matter how many people were there, even how intense the energy would be having 20 plus people, in a group setting.
Yeah.
Even going to like a ball game, which thousands, we're talking, 50,000 people in the stands, never affected me. Never did. I didn't look at it as micromanaging as I do now. And I'm very serious when it comes to energy, but I'm beginning to relate because I'll say this, and this is my point. When I was a kid, I had so much love for people that I legitimately put myself in harm's way to make sure that other people were okay.
Yeah.
And people used to love me for it. I mean, they used to call me all the time. Hey, come hang out. Hey, what are you doing right now? Or you want to get out of the house or, something like that. And I'm talking multiple people during like a whole day. And truthfully, I kind of miss that. I miss that spontaneity. I miss that caring consideration, be able to like walk up to somebody and no matter who's around, it could be their husband or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, be able to walk up to somebody and just give them a hug and actually mean it.
Yeah.
And I guess because I've experienced a pre-adolescent into early adult life of always walking on eggshells, always, always worrying about, oh, is this going to piss somebody off? Oh, am I going to hurt somebody's feelings? Am I going to what everybody talks about now? Am I going to offend somebody? Okay, I was always concerned about that going, into my early adult years, and then I'm looking at my life now, and I'm saying this so people can understand. Don't do that, because truthfully, you consume yourself with so many like what ifs. Is this going to happen to me? Because honestly, I've got shot twice, stabbed once, and truthfully, it was because of how very open I was, and how very loving I was to people. And a lot of people, I guess, got jealous about it. They got angry because they just couldn't be that, be it as it were. And I've actually cried more times now than I probably ever have in my early adult years because of that I guess that desire, not that want or need, but that desire to experience that fluidity all over again. And it got me in trouble a whole lot. I mean, I'm gonna be apologetic for this because it did. Okay, I mean, it got me beat up, got me jumped by like 4 to 5 people at a time because of how much I cared about people and just like listened to them and were there for them, and that's what stopped me from doing it again. Was all the violence, all the hurtful things that people said to me or done to me, and in a sense, that programmed me to be a totally different person. Those experiences, and with Reiki and these, I'm still in, and honestly, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm still in fear that something is bound to happen to me if I go back to that.
Can I bring up a point?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hopefully people can relate to this. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, no. I've always been super open, a certain level of naivety. I can't say that word all of a sudden.
Yeah, like naive, like naiveness. Yeah.
Yes, I've
Yeah.
been very naive.
Right.
But I trusted people.
Innocence.
I thought people were as conscious and empathetic as I am. And so I, would project that onto everybody I would come across. I mean, I would run the green belt in the middle of the night, in the middle of the big city, which is it's like a running track that goes through a forest. And I was just like, oh, it's okay, I got it. But nothing bad ever happened. I was fortunate.
Right.
I avoided, ever having any trauma drama associated with that. But what I did learn through my experience is, and I tell people this a lot when they bring this up, because I hear this a lot from people having the fear factor because they have had traumatic experiences. But the thing is, when people vibrate at a really high vibration, and the highest vibration you can have is joy, you know, anger, sorrow, any of that, they're way at the very low spectrum.
Yeah.
And so anytime you're vibrating at just, a major heart opening space of love and joy, I don't think people think about vibrationally what that does to everybody around you. Because when whoever's vibrating the highest in the room, like physics, everybody else in the room is going to try to raise to match it.
Right.
What happens when you raise your vibration is you start oscillating and vibrating fast enough, you start spinning out every emotion that is not in resonance with that highest vibration. So as people's vibrations start rising to love, joy, all of those, they're spinning out hate, anger, sadness. And who do you think's going to be their target? Whoever's vibrating highest in the room. They're not conscious of it.
Right.
They have no idea what's going on. All they know is they're not a vibrational match to you. And it's enough to tweak their, vibrational meter and say, I don't know what's up with this person, but as soon as I got around him, I'm pissed off, I'm angry. They don't know where their emotions are coming from because they're not conscious of it. All they know is all of a sudden, as soon as you walked in the room, they're pissed.
And ultimately, I guess we can say, if we are, let's say, whoever is out there walks into a room at the higher vibration and expresses and expels this amazing, and trust me, I've been in it before, and it's quite lovely. It's almost drunkening, truthfully. At times, in this, there are still going to be haters of that. People who are at the lower vibration that want everybody else on that lower vibration where they are,
Exactly.
and they will do anything in their power to bring you down to that vibration.
That's my point. That was my point with you saying I'm in a fearful space of being in that vibration because of my past bad experiences. And I think what I would like people to know that have that problem and have been in that situation is you are always in control of your vibration. If you
Yes.
walk to a room and you notice people are getting aggressive towards you, you have to turn your vibration down. That there's nothing wrong with that. You are not going to turn into an angry red monkey like them. You're not going to be an asshole, but you're bringing their crap up too fast. People can't handle that.
Okay.
So going into a bar, or if you're going into a place where you be conscious, be thinking, okay,
Be
people
aware.
are
Right.
not vibrating as high as me because I just came out of a Buddha retreat and now I'm going down to walk through this dark alley where drug dealers hang out. maybe I better calm my shit down a little bit, because you'll bring their stuff up too fast and they're gonna short out.
Right.
Be conscious
And when
of your energy.
when people tend to short out, as you say, usually, and I think I can relate to that. I can resonate with that a whole lot, because at times a lot of people, and I'm just going to say throughout my experiences over the past 5-8 years, um, when I am at an extreme, I'm talking extreme high in vibration. I'm talking to the point where I could be doing cartwheels in the parking lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and those people around are like, sometimes they ask questions like, why, why are you like this, like what's going on to make you so, like this. But that's fine or few. But other ones are like, either A, that he's crazy, or
They start
B,
with the judgment.
yeah, it usually always turns to a judgmental idea. And I also noticed that I had an experience, and this is something about we're all talking about vibrations right now, so let's talk about vibrations. I had a really amazing time with a couple of friends of mine, Sean and Ashley. They're a couple, best friend, amazing people, and they came to our house. But after they left, we were having a great time. We were doing Wii bowling, a few beers, really enjoying ourselves, enjoying the kids, stuff like that. And I went outside to have a cigarette, and this was after they left. And my vibration, I mean, I could feel it. I mean, it was still whoa, 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 and I went outside, and it was still cold, somewhat cold outside, a little chilly, 50, 40s. Some random joker, don't even know who the guy was, truthfully, came up to me, and we started talking, and this chill stranger, he was like, I had to ask, somebody said that you were a psychic, you were a medium, yada, yada, started talking to me. But then 15 minutes after the conversation started, my vibration went actually down. I felt like it went down. And he goes, I have to be totally upfront and honest with you. He goes, you seem like a really cool guy. Honestly, really, really cool. He's like, I came over here to actually beat your ass. And I was like, okay. I was like, for what reason was this? And he goes, honestly, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And he goes, but now sitting here talking with you, how do you do it? I said, how do I do what? He goes, how do you take, this is the first time I experienced this anger side to change anger to positivity. He goes, how do you do that? How do you switch the anger and not wanting to hurt people into wanting to ultimately do good things? And I said, well, pretty simple, really. And it's just the desire and the want. That time it's the want to actually help people and be able to be open to it. And he goes, you know what? I gotta go. I said, oh, well, all right, well, you have a great night. And, I'm hoping that you've learned something from this. And, I hope I helped you out tonight. He goes, you know what? You really did. He goes, I don't know how, but never saw him after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That is one of the biggest things when it comes to manifesting too, is that at times it's not always about the money when it comes to helping people. It's sometimes at that moment, it's just the one moment where you actually want to get paid, where you want to get paid, and deep down in your heart and your soul tells you, like your intuition per se tells you, just go do it. Just do it. And afterwards, you feel so amazing because you touch the hearts and mind of someone, maybe someone you don't even know.
Yeah.
And they say thank you, and then go on with the rest of their life, knowing that they didn't have to be in that headspace and could have been somewhere else.
Yeah.
A much better place, in here and in here.
Yeah.
You know, I've been there. I've been there a couple of times where I said I want to kick the crap out of somebody, and you know what? And all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? But why? Just why? Because it's so easy. It's an easy thing to lose your temper and turn into a monster. It's very easy, but it's a challenge to harness that energy and say, I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. Turn around, walking away. I'm not part of that vibration, and begin to, like you said, change change my three words instead of reflect, release, relive. Reflect, release, and recreate. I actually talked about that in I think my second to last video that I just did on YouTube, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. But again, we'll continue now with this manifesting. Let's kind of like get on point, and let's try to talk a little bit about it. Beautiful time, new moon cycle, awesome alignment. Okay, I feel the energy. It's not wonky. It's not, it's not molasses going all over my body, which is kind of nice. Manifesting your dreams. We've already went over the mindset. What's the toxicity? What to be aware of, and those things. Checking in, yes. Okay. So now, what we really want to look at, that want word again, what we really have to look at now is, well, I'd say just I'm very systematic, I'm sorry. But the process, I guess that's what I wanted to get out. The process of manifesting. Now, we already got honing in on what you desire, what you have to have in your life, seeing it as real, seeing it as there, already coming. All right. So now, with that being said, there's thousands of different ways. There's breathing techniques. I mean, I just learned the 4-8-4 rule with breathing, to control your breathing and send out stuff. But what do you feel is the meat, the core of manifesting? Is it specific? Now, you were saying that the most important part is the which way did you put it? The major core point of it was
the emotion.
The emotion of it. Okay, so
yeah, I think so many systems of manifestation completely overcomplicated.
right. Okay, so do you have something?
It's super easy, honestly.
Yeah. What is it?
All you have to do is get clear. Get everything out that's blocking you. That is the first step.
Meaning what? Meaning having a bad day, somebody pissed you off?
Yes, anything that checks your trust, your worth, and your self-love.
Okay.
Anything that is not keeping those channels open and clear needs to be checked.
Well, you are actually a counselor, because to me, that would mean what they call doing a personal inventory. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Inventory.
Yeah, like a mental inventory or emotional inventory of saying, okay, I'm angry. That doesn't work. Clear it out. Okay, I'm frustrated about this.
It's not as easy as just saying, I'm angry and I shouldn't be. It's not that easy, because like you were saying, what are emotions? They're energy and motion.
And vibration, yeah, nonetheless.
Yeah. So emotions are energy and motion. So therefore, going back to what we were talking about with momentum, if you're angry, do you think you're just going to be able to just say, stop, I'm not going to be angry anymore? Of course not, because that is, it's a force. Just like you said, you can use it for creation. It's a force. So therefore, you have to channel it one way or another.
The best way that I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I'm just an asshole like that sometimes. Um, but the way that I love to do it, honestly, if I ever get into like that mindset, is again, like I always tell people, disconnect from whatever you're doing, whatever that situation is that's making you have that negative energy or that negative emotion. Disconnect from it.
Yeah.
Saying, go do something, go draw, go
something.
change, do something to change.
To channel it.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily, at that point, I don't necessarily see it as change it. I see, channel it per se. I see it as change it, meaning, because at times, see, the one thing that I learned, I was reading a psychology book. I forget what the name of it was, but it was an article on psychology. It was online. And the one thing that I learned from it was that we have a tendency of having a very short attention span, being human. And if we were actually to take ourselves away just briefly, it could be 10, 15 minutes, at least up to 15 to 20 minutes, and take ourselves away from that emotion, totally away from it, and do something that you like, throw on your headphones, play. Now, don't play angry music because that's just going to increase the anger. But playing like very nice instrumentals, something that's motivating, and maybe again detox bathing, kind of like clearing it out, just not thinking about it, and just saying, okay, I'm going to release this, from it, doing it over and over again until it's finally away from us. Or I found this a really, really cool quick trick is everyone has, and this is awesome. I so love sharing this because people are like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right? It's so simple. Remember a time or a situation in your life that you've had extreme happiness. It could be anything. It could be having sex with your partner. It could be, sticking your feet in the sand of the beach. It could be walking in the moonlight. It could be anything that's positive. And reenact that situation visually in your head and actually replay it like you're there. And I will guarantee you will not be in that negative mindset anymore.
Yeah.
And then when you get yourself away from that and you release it and all this, that's when you could say, okay, what do I desire? I desire to have whatever. It could be anything. Okay, it could be $1 million. But ultimately, like you said, it's the emotion behind the what or the why.
Yeah.
And when you harness that most powerful essence of knowing what the why or the what actually is and experiencing it soulfully and mentally and emotionally. Like I'll give an example of one of my desires. Okay, one of my desires is to get a car. Okay, something I want, something I desire. Okay, I desire to have a car, a decent car. Okay, not something that's a shit box. Okay, that's just 3 months later is going to conk out on me. Okay, I'm saying something that's reliable, that will take me more than from just A and B. Okay, the first thing is remember a time when I was sitting in a car with someone that was a nice car, okay, a decent car, something that I would like to have, and remember how it felt. I remember opening the door, getting into the passenger side seat and saying, wow, looking around in the car and saying, wow, this is an awesome car. Like, wow, this is cool. I'd like to have this. And just feeling that awesomeness of, yeah, Yeah. Okay. This, I like this, and feeling it, and then closing your eyes and being okay with you having it. Now, this is something we talked about before when it comes to manifesting in abundance, is that you need to be okay with, or you need to accept receiving the things that you desire. Okay.
You have to own it. You
Yeah.
have to be in this space of I deserve that. And again, that goes back to self-worth.
Yes. Yes.
It has nothing to do with I deserve, out of egocentric, type situation.
Right.
About self-worth. I worked hard, I honor the process, blah, blah, blah. I deserve it. It's not coming from an imbalanced space of I do nothing, but I deserve to have everything.
Well, that's ego. That's ego.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's why it's, check your self-worth. But, essentially when it comes down to manifesting, it's about, like you were using the car, when you're manifesting, you need to think about the emotion. That's why the emotions are so important. It's not the car. It's the emotions that having the car brings.
Or where you would, or how you would feel, and it's still emotions, but how you would feel being able to have that freedom.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's not that you want the car. It's you want the freedom that the car gives you. So that's why the emotions are so important, is because when you focus on the emotion, you actually free yourself from any attachment to any outcome, and you leave the universe the option to bring you this or something better.
Now, what's really cool about that, what's really, really cool about that is that could go for anything.
That's my point.
And the biggest thing that most people want and desire is money. Okay, most of the time. Well, or love. Okay, or acceptance.
Most want security.
Or security. Okay, let's generalize it.
Want the security of a loving spouse. They want the security of a home and a job. Those are all security.
Right. And what's amazing about all this is that one of my most I was going to say adore, but that would sound really off the wall. Someone that I look up to, which is Tony Robbins, okay, used to say, you need to be certain. Like, you have to have a very solid sense of certainty in order for you to build momentum.
Yes.
Okay. You need to be certain of your why. You need to be certain of your what. And you need to be certain of one thing. And now this is either confidence or self-worth. As you said, self-worth. You need to know and be certain about your potential. Now, potential is what's coming, or what you already have within you in order to create.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't believe, and this is a big thing, we talked about faith earlier. Okay, if you do not believe that you not only deserve, but if you do not believe that you have the potential to attain these things. Like, for an example, let's say that's one of the reasons why doctors charge so much. Okay, they can charge upwards of $450 an hour. It's because they've already went through the schooling for 8 years, okay, and got the doctorate degrees. They already know that they're worth $450 an hour, if not more. Okay. You need to know that you've done your work, and this is going to be a generality, but you need to be able to know that you've done the work in life on yourself, done the work with you, inside and outside. We're talking not just learning or reading books. We're talking about doing good things for other people, paying it forward, you know, giving time when it's needed, you know, things like this. It's very, very simplistic ideas, very simple things that we bypass a lot of the time. And knowing that, you know what, I am a good person. I am deserving of this because I've done, like you said earlier, I've done the work. I know the job. I know the information to provide the service correctly. Okay, because that's our profession. Usually, intuitive counselors and psychics, there's a lot of scrutiny. Okay, with who knows how to do what, you know, better than each other. Okay, which is ridiculous because we're all the same shit. All right, just our different ways of doing it. You know, our different methods. And it's just the same stuff. And our I was going to say model or mode of how we do it. But if you already know that, then all you have to do is welcome it.
Yeah.
Is welcome it into your life. And I'll be honest, we went from staying and I want to talk fluctuation of abundance and manifestation. I'll tell you, let me tell you this. We went from living with somebody, very chaotic scenario. I'm not going to explain what it was. All right, but very chaotic. Obviously, there was a reason for that. I was obviously helping someone. And then to go into a place where we really didn't even want to go to, which again causes strain on other people, which we should never have been in a situation like that, but it just happened. To then getting a roommate in like a 3-bedroom 2-bath apartment, which was pretty decent. You know, it was cool. It began to see upwards at that point, and now we have a 3-bedroom 2-bath, apartment home. It's kind of like it's just like a 1-level home on our own. So, yeah, what happened to your camera? I don't see your camera. Yeah. Did you freeze? I don't even hear you. She might have gotten a call. But that transition it was challenging, very challenging, and it was a difficult. It was difficult. It had. Am I saying this right? It was very difficult emotionally to try to balance out what was happening and make sense of what was happening. Chameice, are you still there? Oh, she must have walked away or something. But ultimately, manifestation and abundance to me is being grateful for where you are, for one, and what you have. Because a lot of us don't even look at things like that anymore. It's always, well, we deserve this, and we're talking egotistically, say that we deserve this or deserve that. But ultimately saying thank you for the hot water, thank you for the bed, thank you for the couch in the living room, and the TV, and the cable and the internet. These very few things for us to do such amazing work. And it's quite It's quite interesting how once you become grateful for something, or at least grateful for what you have, more comes. Chameice, you still there? Hello? Alrighty then. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Apparently, there must have been some technical difficulties. And we're going to say, blessed new moon, rather, to you. Go in peace. Be well. Enjoy one another's time. Enjoy what's coming. There will be more of these. Till next time. Hailing life from within. Blessings of abundance, wealth, and prosperity to you. Namaste. Chameice.